Let's talk about something you probably see every single day, and I bet you don't give it a second thought. The cap on a water bottle. But what if I told you it's not just a piece of plastic? What if it has a secret story, a hidden language that's being spoken right under your nose? You know that moment, right? You're in the grocery store, staring at this giant wall of bottled water, and they all look kind of the same, except for the caps. There are blue ones, white ones, red ones, green ones. So what are you supposed to do? Just guess? Is it all just a big marketing gimmick, or is there something more going on here? Well, it turns out those colors are not random at all. Not really. They're actually part of this informal kind of global code that tells you what's inside the bottle before you even read the tiny print on the label. And today, we are going to crack that code. All right, let's dive right in with the basics. Think of this as learning the ABCs of the secret cap language. These are the most common words, the colors you're going to see out there in the wild time and time again. Okay, so here's the first and biggest distinction you'll find. A blue cap often means you're getting natural spring water. You know, water that comes straight from an underground source, with all its natural minerals. A white cap, on the other hand, usually signals purified water. This is often just regular tap water that's been put through a rigorous filtering process to make it super clean and neutral tasting. So, a simple way to remember it, blue is kind of like from the earth, and white is processed for purity. Now, let's talk about the fizzy stuff. Sparkling water, carbonated water, definitely needs its own signal. The last thing you want is to take a huge gulp expecting still water and get a big surprise of bubbles. So if still water gets the calm, cool colors like blue and white, sparkling water needs something that shouts a little louder. And that's where colors like red and green usually come in. You can basically think of a red cap as a stop sign that says, "Warning, bubbles inside." Green is another really popular choice, maybe for something with a little less fizz. And the code gets even more detailed once you get into what we call enhanced waters. See a green cap? A lot of the time, that's a hint that it's flavored, maybe with some mint or lime. A sleek black cap? That's become the unofficial uniform for premium, high-end alkaline water, the kind with a higher pH. And if you see a red or yellow cap that's not on a sparkling bottle, it might be signaling a boost, like extra electrolytes or vitamins. Okay, so you're feeling pretty good, right? You've learned the basic code. But just when you think you've got it all figured out, the whole system throws a massive curveball at you because these rules have one major exception. And here's the twist: marketing. A lot of the time, the color has nothing to do with what's in the bottle. It's all about branding. In a super crowded aisle, a unique cap is one of the fastest and easiest ways for a brand to scream, "Hey, look at me!" and build its own identity. You want a perfect example of this? Let's go to India. The brand Bisleri was getting lost in a sea of competitors who all used blue bottles and blue caps. So what did they do? They switched to green. It was a super smart, bold marketing move to make them instantly recognizable. And guess what? It totally worked. That green cap is iconic now. And they are absolutely not alone. Think about it for a second. Evian's pink cap has nothing to do with flavor or pH. It's all about their premium French Alps vibe. Perrier's green is just legendary. And Fiji's bright blue cap, it's designed to make you think of a pristine, tropical paradise. In cases like these, the brand is the message. So, as if branding wasn't enough to complicate things, there is another twist. This code we've been learning, it's not exactly a universal language. It's more like a language that has a whole bunch of different local dialects. Which brings us to a really critical question. Let's say you're traveling, you're thirsty, you see a bottle with a red cap. Can you confidently grab it knowing it's going to be sparkling? Well, the answer, unfortunately, is not so fast. Yeah, this is where it can get really confusing. If you're in, say, France or Belgium, a red cap almost always means sparkling water. You're pretty safe. But cross the border into Italy and you might get a shock. Some major brands there use red for still water. In North America, a red cap is a total wild card. It could be anything. And in many parts of Asia, it could be sparkling or an electrolyte drink. It's a perfect example of how this language has very, very local rules. So what's the big takeaway from all this? You just can't assume the rules are the same everywhere you go. You kind of have to learn the local dialect of caps, or, when in doubt, just read the label. Okay, but beyond just telling you what kind of water you're getting, that little piece of plastic on top plays a much bigger role. A role in everything from making sure your water is safe to drink, all the way to its impact on our planet. Let's start with safety. The number one safety feature isn't the color, it's that little ring at the base of the cap. You know the one. When you twist that cap for the first time, you hear that satisfying crack. That sound is the tamper-evident seal breaking, and it's your guarantee that the bottle is secure and unopened. But color does play a part in safety, too. Think about it. When you get really used to your favorite brand's specific shade of blue or green, you're much more likely to notice if something just looks off. A cap that's the wrong color could actually be a sign of a counterfeit product, which is a real problem in some parts of the world. So the cap keeps your water safe, for sure. But what about keeping the planet safe? I mean, it's just this tiny piece of plastic, but the choice of color can have a surprisingly big environmental impact. So could your bottle cap actually be bad for the planet? The science behind this is actually fascinating. So at recycling plants, they use these high-tech machines with infrared light to identify and sort different types of plastics. But the carbon black pigment they use to make plastic black, well, it absorbs that light completely. So to the sorting machines, that black plastic is basically invisible. And what happens to it? It can't be sorted, so that sleek premium black cap often gets sent straight to the landfill. Phew. Okay, we have covered a lot. We've talked about the basic code, the branding curveballs, the regional dialects, and even the environmental impact. So let's boil it all down into what you really need to know to be a cap expert. If you remember only one single thing from this entire explainer, please make it this. This whole color system is totally voluntary. It's an industry habit, not a law. There are no rules forcing companies to do this. The cap is a hint. It's a suggestion. But the label is the final word. It's the source of truth. But look, if you're in a hurry and just need a quick guide, here's your cheat sheet. For still water, the main event is blue versus white. That's usually spring versus purified. If you see red, black, or green, expect something extra, like bubbles, a higher pH, or some kind of flavor. And if you spot a wild, unique color like pink or bright orange, yeah, that's almost certainly just a brand making a statement. So there you have it. You can now walk into any store in the world and understand the secret language of water bottle caps. You'll see the hints, you'll see the marketing, you'll understand the code, but you'll also know that the most important information is and always will be written right there in black and white on the label.